Alright, so this is a post-recording voiceover type beat, and as you can tell by the title of the video, or by what I'm doing in the game, getting all my... we are doing Extreme Lotus. And this is not the first clear of Extreme Lotus that I have done, nor my duo, but it is our second clear that we've done. We did manage to clear the week before I recorded this. I didn't record it because I didn't want to stress out about recording, and I also wasn't sure if we were going to kill it because, again, me and my duo, we are not very good at Extreme Lotus, and we are also not super over-geared on Extreme Lotus. It's certainly not a min clear, to be sure. Don't get it twisted, brother. This is not a min clear, but it is definitely not what you would call comfortable, right? Like, I'm not one-bursting Saren, or I'm not one-bursting fucking Phase 3 of Black Mage, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like that. So obviously there's a lot of... you need to play the game, basically, is what I'm saying, and you can't just kind of rely on, you know, over-gearing it right now. Well, I mean, eventually I can, for sure, especially with Mastery 3 and 4, but right now we're not at that point, is what I'm trying to say. That being said... what is this video gonna be? I mean, I don't know. It's just gonna be our X-Lotus run. This was our X-Lotus run that we cleared on. You can see our CP. I think I showed my CP. I did. I just under 350 mil with familiars. I believe my friend is just around 320 mil with familiars. We're obviously both Nightwalkers. He's 286. I'm 288. So we are... I'm probably like... I don't know, a good little bit stronger, but for all intents and purposes, we are very similar in terms of, like, gear and progression and whatever, though my Hexa is way better, just because I farm more than he does, but that being said, again, doesn't really matter. We're very close to each other in terms of, like, relative stats and gear and whatever, okay? That's my point. As you can see, though, our damage is... like, obviously, it's not a min clear. It's not even close to a min clear. Our damage is... this is so much faster than our original run. And to give some context, I think maybe we've done 6 or 7 practice runs total of Extreme Lotus. We killed Extreme Lotus in one of those practice runs. Those practice runs have been spread out over, like, a month and a half. Like, this is something that we've been slowly working on over time. So, like, our experience with this boss is very limited. And obviously, most of the time has been spent in P3. Phase 3, obviously, is where most of the issues arise, okay? P1 is very straightforward, very simple. If you're familiar with Lotus, you shouldn't have any issues. The only thing you need to probably get used to is to make sure you're not getting stunned when all of Lotus's orbs fill up in the middle. You're not getting stunned when a leg comes down, because the gloom leg into a stun, or a stun into a gloom leg, rather, will kill you pretty easily. Or the floor FMA, the laser. Other than that, it's fairly straightforward. I will mention that I do take a very stupid death right here because I wanted to rapid throw on top of the taser. Look, man. We're still bad at this, okay? I'm bad at this. I'll leave him out of this. I'm bad at this. But it is what it is. We have 7 lives for a reason. YOLO, brother, whatever, man. But our pacing is basically... I think for the most part you can pretty much reach close to 100% uptime for Phase 1 and Phase 2. And don't get it twisted, brother. This is not going to be like a how to kill Extreme Lotus guide, because I just cannot stress this enough. I am not good at this boss. I do not feel comfortable doing this boss. It is a very stressful boss fight. Not to mention that we had just gotten done doing some cubing, and I was like, I don't know, I was on one, my hands were cold, I hadn't played any MapleStory today, and we just went into this real Extreme Lotus run raw. Ugh. But we managed to do it, clearly, if I'm uploading this video, so, that's good, smiley face. So as far as P1 and P2, like I was saying, you can pretty much get 100% uptime on Phase 1, Phase 2. Basically, all we don't do anything fancy. For a little while, we tried staggering Origins. Like, we'd both Origin off rip, and then we would stagger Origins. But end of the day, we decided to just rip everything at the same time. I mean, we're both Nightwalkers. We're the exact same class. We both burst at the same time. It ends up being okay. You will have to slightly delay your burst depending on when your teammate bursts, though, just to make sure you get, like, you know, the bind timer set up for each person, and you can, like, each get your burst in. But P1, P2, it doesn't really matter. P1, P2 play pretty much identically to regular Lotus, you know? Like, the only addition to P1, P2 is the Gloom Legs. Yes, the gauge does go up faster, and you need to be more wary of the gauge. I will say the gauge management is significantly harder to do in P2, obviously. But it's not, like, unmanageable by any stretch of the imagination. I kind of is like what I'm trying to get at. You know what I mean? Basically, you just want to try to play on top of Lotus as much as possible. In my experience, that's usually what I try to do. The only time I don't play on top of Lotus is when he is in Annihilation Protocol, when he's full gauge, like when he's gauged. Otherwise, I try to play on top of Lotus as much as humanly possible. You should be able to mostly tank everything through pot cooldown, and obviously, if you need, obviously, you have Holy Fountain, a decent fountain. This boss is what made me start using decent Holy Fountain. I did lose my Nightwalker door here because we didn't have a fountain down. I took too many hits, like I said, and my pot cooldown was locked, so yeah. It was just unfortunate. That's why you usually should precast Holy Fountain, just to have a fountain down just in case, and you should try to place the fountain like where you're fighting Lotus, or like your safe spots, you know what I mean? Obviously your safe spot is probably going to be where you're fighting Lotus, but you get what I'm saying, Hope. Again, these are just things that I do to make it easier, and me and my friend Seaway do, my duo. It's just things that we've found that works for us. Again, like, we have killed Extreme Lotus 3 times total as of this, one of those being in practice, one of those being a very, very, very scuffed first run, and then this being a very, very scuffed second run. As you can see here, when, like, Annihilation Protocol is active, I just try to stay the fuck away from Lotus, because your priority isn't to do damage, especially if you're not min-cut. Like, if you're not min-cutting the boss, your priority is to live. Always. It is to live. You need to live. If you do not live, you cannot clear the boss, right? And that is the philosophy that we both take in P3, especially me on this run. Usually my uptime is pretty decent in P3, but this run, my uptime in P3 was really, really bad. But I did want to play extra safe because I messed up and lost both of my doors before P3. Normally, I go deathless into P3. Like, it's not hard to do. I'm not saying that to be like, ha, yeah, I'm Chad McThundercock. Like, no, that's not it. It's just, P1, P2 really isn't that much different, and the differences just require you to play a little cleaner, not necessarily, like, change how you play. Whereas in P3, I think you cannot play P3 how you play P3 in, like, normal hard Lotus, right? Because a normal or hard Lotus, even on, like, a character that is, like, I don't know, it's not one-bursting it, I think the amount of overlapping effects and the damage those effects do, I don't know what it is exactly, and I couldn't possibly begin to tell you, like, what exactly the differences between hard and extreme are, aside from the obvious things like gauge mechanics and, like, Gloom Legs and stuff. But it's just the frequency of abilities in Extreme Lotus, it definitely does seem higher. It really does. Maybe it's not higher, maybe it just does more damage. Maybe it is higher and it does more damage. Like I said, I don't know. It's just, Extreme Lotus, at times, feels very, like, legitimately and I felt like that when we were progging the boss, and I mean, now that we're clearing the boss, albeit we're not clearing it very well, but we're clearing it, I still do feel that way. I think this is one of the few bosses in the game that genuinely feels like bullshit sometimes. And obviously that feeling will get less and less impactful the stronger you get, the more you overgear it, obviously. But just, it's some of the shit in P3, man. It is... Whomstever at Nexon HQ came up with that shit, they fucking hit the crack pipe like 7 times straight, man. They were like, bro, what if we made the waffles come out, bro, when like the stuns come out, bro, and then also like the lasers come out too, bro, and then also like all of Lotus's orbs are activated too, bro, so like you get knocked into the lasers, bro, like... Yo, dude, that's sick. Oh, bro, what if the Gloom legs come out, too? Also, I do take another death here. Like I said, this was not my finest run. And again, that being said, even if this was my finest run, it still wouldn't be, like, much better than this. I mean, like, realistically, my finest run is me, like, getting deathless into P3 and then, like, losing half my lives in P3 because I'm bad. But... this was an exceptionally bad run for me. Which makes it feel a lot better that we did still manage to kill Lotus. I will say that. I'm very pleased that we were able to just cold run into Extreme Lotus and kill it. Because again, I will reiterate, we are not good at this boss. We are very... we're just not. We're not, you know, we're not in it. I'm also really surprised I lived here. I'm, like, fucking desperately trying to phase Lotus. I'm like, please get me out of the fuck corner. Please. Damn, I'm surprised I've been yapping for 11 minutes. I did not think I was going to yap nearly as long as I did. But, going into P3, you'll kind of see what I mean when I say my uptime is really, really bad in P3. And again, if you're not doing min cuts on bosses, you really can afford to prioritize living. And even if you are trying to do a min cut... I still think the argument of, like, trying to prioritize living over trying to do, like, damage is probably good. And then so my strategy for P3 is very simple. What I try to do is I try to keep the fountain in the bottom right of the map. And I try to keep Lotus in the bottom right of the map as much as possible. Obviously, there's a portal from the top left to the bottom right, which are the 2 safe spots. You know, see when the lasers jump. And I typically try to stay over here, where I am right now, where I'm getting tossed around, like my salad tossed around. Being tossed around like a fucking petite woman. But I try to stay in the top left because you can see the orbs on Lotus. And this is something that I only learned because of Extreme Lotus. I'm not even sure if normal or hard have this mechanic, but something that I learned is you see the 3 orbs floating around Lotus right now. If they're, like, glowing and active like they are right now, you get sent up into the air. So this is why I try to always go top left when the lasers are out, because even if you get knocked up over here, you're not going to get knocked up into the laser, so you won't just instantly take a death. Because that was something that was happening to me a lot in our practice runs when we would sit bottom right. Because I do think bottom right overall, I find it easier to play bottom right. And you also can avoid the platform breaking. Like, he breaks the platform so often. And sometimes I forget to replace my clone. So, like, my clone just fucking disappears because the platform breaks. And if you don't replace your Greater Dark Servant, it just disappears if the platform breaks. But if you, like, resummon it, it won't break. I don't know. It's fucky. But my point is, that's kind of why I prefer the bottom right. I also think it's just easier because you have more area to navigate, generally speaking. It's also, it feels easier to see mechanics coming at you, right? The main things that you're going to be dodging are the fucking, like, nuclear missile strikes that constantly happen, and then the homing rockets. Those are, like, the 2 main things that you're going to be dodging, obviously. And then you have the, like, rectangular red cylinders that spawn and then detonate after a couple seconds. Those, if you get hit by, they stun you. They're very, very bad. You should really try to avoid them as much as you can. But as you can see, in some cases, your entire screen is just those red fucking cylinders, and there's not much you can really do. And that's another reason why it feels a little bit impossible. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but I will point it out just in case you did notice, but I did absolutely fuck up my first burst into P3. I accidentally pressed Rapid Throw instead of Shadow Spears, and what can I say? My fat sausage rolls of a finger just kind of did its own thing that day. Luckily, it doesn't end up mattering too terribly much, but it is still an unfortunate thing. You can see right there, I only lived because I backstepped into the holy fountain and pressed up once to heal, or else I 100,000,000,000% would have died. Decent holy fountain is insanely good here. I genuinely didn't think I would ever use decent holy fountain for anything ever until I started doing this boss. It's just, it's not necessary, to be sure, but having a source of healing is just invaluable, especially if you're like two like Nightwalkers, you know what I mean? Like, there's no support class here, there's no like I make you take less damage, there's no like I give you shields. It's just, we're Nightwalkers, bro. We gotta do what you gotta do. Yeah, I don't know. I think I've yapped plenty. I think I'm just going to let the rest of this video play out if you want to see the kill. Spoiler, we didn't get a total control. We did not, unfortunately. We didn't get a total control the first week either. Obviously, I would have told you guys if I did, because that's kind of how I go. But this is our second Extreme Lotus kill ever. Like, real one. Third total. We've only done, like I said, like 6 or 7, 8 practice runs total. So our experience is very limited, but I'm very, very pleased that it can be done, and we are sort of doing it consistently. Yeah. So, I don't know. That's all I got. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys want to watch the rest of this kill, obviously feel free to. If you don't, no worries. You can just skip to the end if you want to see the loot. You can see the timer. I think it was like a 22-minute kill, which, considering how bad my uptime was in P3, by choice, I was trying to play safely. I really was, because like I said, I wasted both my doors fucking before Phase 3, and then I even lost a life. So I basically died 3 times before Phase 3. That's so bad. Like, I was like, bro, I need to lock the fuck in. I cannot be dying out right now. And again, because we're not min-cut, and we're like comfortably over min-cut, just waiting for burst is totally okay. We don't need the uptime damage. Obviously, it's nice to do, and you should always try to, if you can, within like a reasonable like way, without like endangering yourself, you know what I mean? But okay, like I said, I was gonna stop yapping, and then I started yapping like infinity times more. For real now. Thank you guys so much for watching, as always, and thank you for joining me on this journey, whether you're new, whether you're old. This game just means a lot to me, man. See you guys in the next one. Bye.